Hello and welcome everyone to this 5th anniversary celebration for Black Boys Code. My name is Nadia Stewart. I'm a reporter for Global News. I'm also the executive director of the Canadian Association of Black Journalists, and I am thrilled to also be your host for today's live broadcast. We're so happy to have you here with us as we celebrate what has been an amazing journey for Black Boys Code, from a local Vancouver-based nonprofit to now a program that is reaching far beyond Canada's borders and touching the lives of Black boys in a way I'm sure founder Brian Johnson never imagined. And that really is what is most important here. This is all about the boys. It's about their lives, their futures, and helping them to reach their fullest potential. So we want to show you right now a video that captures what this organization is all about.
Black Boys Code. We focus on introducing young Black boys to computer science. We conduct our workshops on university campuses to have the boys feel that university campuses are a safe space. We have chapters across Canada from Vancouver to Halifax. Approximately 120 volunteers across the country.
So high five. There you go, Sarah.
We only have Black men in the classroom. And the purpose of that is so the boys can have role models they can look up to. A lot of people ask us, well, you're teaching the boys coding. We are teaching the boys coding, but what we're doing mostly is showing the boys that they're capable. We show the kids their brilliance. The classes are free. No coding experience is necessary. And they have to wear the Black Boys Code t-shirt. There's always, you have a class of 30, and there's always 2 kids who have an issue with wearing the t-shirt, yeah.
I think it only seems fitting after watching this video to introduce to you now the founder of Black Boys Code, Brian Johnson. Oh, Brian, we can't hear you. Your microphone's on mute.
Here we go.
There we go.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's say good morning, welcome. Thanks for being here, and I hope the video tells you a little bit about what Black Boys Code is all about. 5 years, as I said in the invitation, if someone 5 years ago told me that we would be here, I would not have believed them. But before I tell you a little bit about the organization, I have to tell you a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Brian Johnson. I'm the founder and CEO of Black Boys Code. I live in Vancouver, British Columbia. I've lived in 5 different provinces across Canada. I'm an avid soccer player, and I'm also an avid traveler. I've been to 32 countries around the world. Over the past 20 years, I've worked in telecommunications, I've worked in loyalty management and logistics. Back then I worked as a contact center project manager, and I myself, I'm not a technologist, but in working with those environments, it showed me that the future is in technology. And one of the conclusions I came to at the time is that if our community is going to strive in the future, we have to start educating the next generation. About Black Boys Code, we are a national organization that introduces young Black boys to STEM disciplines, but a focus on computer science. We work with boys 8 to 17 years old. We were founded in the knowledge that Black kids, particularly boys, do not see themselves with technology as a pathway to success in the future. Our mandate is to improve the lives of boys in the future through education and technology. We have a Black Boys Code, we have 3 programs. We have our exposure workshops, which are 4 hours where we introduce the boys to computer science. We have an after-school program, and this past summer we had planned to launch a summer technology camp, but because of the pandemic, we were not successful. as I said in the video, with Black Boys Code, we have two tenets that we live by. The first is that we conduct our workshops on university campuses. And the purpose of that when we first started is to get the boys acclimatized and used to being on a university campus. And my thought process at the time is if a boy starts with us 10, 11, 12 years old, and he goes to a university campus by the time he's 15 or 16, the expectation, and I think it's a big stretch, that he would move on to post-secondary education. We also show them that the university experience, the university campus, we demystify the university experience for them. We show them that the university has classrooms the same as their schools. We show them that they have desks and you have an instructor and so on, water fountains. So it becomes something that they'll become used to. The other tenet that we live by is we have Black men in the classroom delivering a material. And again, as I said in the video, the purpose of that is to have the boys have role models they can look up to. As the old saying goes, if you can't see us, you can't be us. And that's one of the mantra that we live by. How did I know I wanted to do this when I started 5 years ago? I worked in the loyalty management business and that allowed me to travel quite a bit. And when I left my last job, I traveled for about 3 months, went through Asia, Europe, came back to Vancouver. Now what do I do? Now I started working on Black Boys Code. It was supposed to be a 3-month assignment. And while I was doing that, I was looking for work. And I went into a job interview. And I walked in and there were two gentlemen, one white, one black. And when I walked in, you can see the brother kind of took back because in Vancouver, you don't see two Black male professionals in the same room very often. And it turned out of the 55 minutes, the job interview, I spent 40 to 45 minutes telling them about Black Boys Code. So needless to say, I didn't get the job, but that is when I realized that this is what I wanted to do. I can remember it one of those rare hot days in Vancouver. Why do we do what we do? I'll give you a quick example. Last February, it was the 29th, we were in Toronto. The Toronto chapter did a fantastic job. We hosted a hackathon, and it was held on at the office of Dennis Mitchell's Starlight Capitals building. We had 45 boys. For those who do not know, a hackathon is a competition between teams, at least the way we present a hackathon. And the boys are formed teams, they're given a coach, and we also have a predetermined obstacle course that the boys have these robots and they have to program the robots to go around the obstacle course to see who's the winner, whoever has the cleanest code and goes into make sure they don't touch the walls and so on, they win. So after after the day was over, very exhausting, running around trying to keep 30 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds in check. One of the kids, their parents came up to me and he looks up to me and says, "Excuse me, mister, are you the owner?" I says, "Well, no, well, I'm the founder of, my name is Mr. Johnson." He says, "I had a lot of fun. I learned how to code. I made a lot of friends. Can we come back to school again tomorrow?" And that's kind of stuck with me. And anytime, you know, we all have those rough days and I ask myself, why is it we're doing what we're doing? I think of that kid, 9 years old, and think about it, wants to come to school again on a Saturday, because the popular narrative, you never hear Black kids wanting to go to school, but that kind of stuck with me. So that's a little bit about who we are and what we are. After, one of the things that we'll be doing today as well is we'll be handing out a $500 scholarship for one of the kids to contribute to their educational fund. With that, I'll turn it back over to Nadia.
Thanks so much, Brian. And that is very exciting that the scholarship will be handed out. So I want to encourage everyone to stick around to the end for that very exciting announcement. It is time now, though, to introduce our first guest speaker for today's event. Lawrence Etta is the City of Toronto's Chief Technology Officer, and he has over 20 years experience as a multinational business and technology executive. He is a change agent who champions change. A TEDx speaker and a respected leader, we are just thrilled to have him here with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, Lauren Setta.
Thank you very much, Nadia, for that introduction. And Brian, I want to thank you and your team, as well as all those parents, boys, and volunteers who've worked so hard over the past 5 years. It's a testament to your leadership and your vision in bringing us together. Also to thank my fellow participants on this, the various people that will be on the panel and those to speak. It's great to see an image of Black people successfully driving an ability to inspire the next generation. My talk today, just briefly, just like to build upon the theme, Brian, you had set in empowering the future leaders in technology. And hopefully through these couple of minutes that I have the privilege and the honor to talk, to inspire the Black boys in your organization who volunteer and those who participate and their parents in terms of technology. I had the ability and the honor to come and speak to your Toronto chapter a few months ago, and it truly inspired me with what is occurring. We are all looking at this unprecedented time in the pandemic, and as a Black community, we are looking at what are the careers into the future. Canada's economy is going to be driven by digital. We all know that. The economy is shifting to a digital technology. The way we interact with each other, the pandemic, the fact we're on this video conferencing today, the fact that we are not able to be in person. So that economy is very critical. It is also important that we build the ability for Black boys and Black people to share in that economy, participate in that economy, which will ensure that we have an equitable and accessibility into that economy. So often as our centuries and generations have been built, Black people have not had the ability to participate in that, which is not through a lack of technical skills or not through a lack of entrepreneurish or not through a lack of the ability, but because we have not been in the positions to really advance the narrative and to ensure that we have the influence and the power to be able to make a difference. So that's why this is so important. For our society to flourish, Black representation is a must. It's not necessarily just, it's a nice to have. We must be part of this community in terms of technology. So encouraging initiatives like Black Boys Code that create those incentives for Black youth programs so we can create a sense of what is normal to experience of our Black boys. Brian, you talked about the ability for that 10-year-old to be inspired and wanted to come together. So we have to ensure that we create the environment and the opportunities so that we can recruit into technology jobs. As a Black technology leader of the largest city in Canada, it is rare to see people of myself in this position. So it's important that we create that environment that more Black boys and Black people can participate. So one of the areas I'm just going to finish off is on 2 specific criteria, because I would like to take the talk to actual action. So much as what is going on in our world today is important, but we have to have very prescriptive action. The first piece of action is that as organizations, we've got to collect the data, and not just collect the data that shows marginalized groups, collect data that shows what are the Black representations in organizations and how we hiring and creating a pipeline. And from that data, we can challenge the establishment to show that we need Black leaders in senior positions, in middle positions, in entry positions. And the data then can ensure that we, instead of having a subjective conversation, we're having a conversation that is driven by data. And from that, I've been very keen to be part of many groups. And one of the groups that I'm really part of right now is the Coalition for Innovation Leaders Against Racism, which is trying to ensure that Black people have the opportunity to participate in that digital community. I'm therefore, once again, to wrap up, very honored to be here. I look forward to being in the panel. And I hope that through this journey, we can have other Black boys who can be inspired that one day that they can become the Chief Technology Officer of the City of Toronto and be in other leadership positions. So with that, thank you very much. And I'll hand it back over again to our host to take us through. So thank you.
Thanks. Thanks so much, Lawrence. I think we have a video to go to.
Yes, so we'd like to introduce you to one of the nominees for our scholarship.
Hi, my name is Bradley Van Hinty Clark. I'm 11 years old and I am in 6th grade. I go to the Black Boys coding course for Montreal. My favorite part about this course is learning the coding language Scratch. I would say the most interesting part about this course was learning all the different coding languages like Python, CSS, and HTML. Black Boys Code can help me in the future because I want to become a programmer in the future. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
You know, there are so many, there are a few videos that you're going to see today, but I really don't know how Brian Johnson and the team over at Black Boys Code were able to decide to hand out just one scholarship. You'll see all of these videos and you know, really think like me, all of these boys should get a scholarship. So thank you so much, Lawrence. And again, you'll see some more videos spotlighted of this beautiful young Black talent. But we're gonna move on to our second speaker, that is Ray Williams. He is the Managing Director and Vice Chairman at National Bank Financial. He has extensive experience in global capital markets, but he is also a committed community leader, and he is a strong voice in the area of diversity and inclusion. He serves on leadership boards for various organizations, including 100 Strong Foundation, and he is also part of the team behind the Black Opportunity Fund. Here's Ray Williams.
As we enter the fourth industrial revolution, the idea that STEM as part of the curriculum for our Black boys and girls represents a really important step in the right direction. You cannot overstate the fact that this fourth industrial revolution, when we talk about tech in particular, will have the opportunity to do a number of things. We can either take tech and embrace it in a way from the very outset that will allow us to close the gap, whether it be from the perspective of just wealth or more generally. We know for a fact that those who work within the tech space earn more than the average. And so we need to be in that space. But more importantly, as I've mentioned, the fourth industrial revolution does mean that unless we are participating, unless we are leading the way, then the wealth gap for our community will continue to grow. That is just simply a fact. So Black Boys Code has enormous importance in engaging our young people around how it is that they should take the opportunity to leverage what's available. They need to be part of this fourth industrial revolution.
And now a video from another one of our scholarship nominees.
Hi, my name is Aaron, and I took part in the Black Boys Code workshop for learning to code with Microbit in June. My favorite thing about the workshop was learning about other people's creations and sharing my own creations and ideas as well. I think I enjoyed learning to code with Microbit because, unlike Scratch, which I used to code with before, I was able to apply my ideas to a real-world piece of hardware. I want to pursue one of the sciences, so I think coding is going to be very important.
All right, it is time now to hear from another giant in Black Canada. Dennis Mitchell is the CEO of Toronto-based Starlight Capital, an award-winning industry leader. He has over 15 years experience in the investment industry. He's also one of the driving forces behind the Black Opportunity Fund, a community leader and an inspiration to up-and-coming Black leaders. We are so happy to have him here with us today. Dennis Mitchell, over to you.
Hi, Nadia. I have to hire you to do all of my introductions going forward. Thank you to everybody. I want to congratulate Brian and the entire team at Black Boys Code for 5 years of bringing enlightenment and education to the Black Boys of Canada. As you guys mentioned before, I had the honor of hosting a Black Boys Code event at our offices in Toronto. And what struck me was not just the excitement and the enthusiasm of the boys who were participants, but I could see the passion of all of the volunteers and Brian, of course, that they bring to these endeavors and these events. And then most importantly, I think, what I saw on the faces of the parents who were there in attendance and saw their children, their boys being engaged and learning more about technology, what I saw there was hope and engagement and almost a mixture of relief and pride and excitement. And that to me, as a father of a black boy myself, that made it all worth it. Just in terms of hosting that event and seeing those boys get that experience and those learnings and those teachings, but also to see the impact it had on the volunteers and the parents. So that was a fantastic experience. And what Black Boys Code means to me is just that, hope and ambition and just the future of our community as represented by the future of our community as those boys. So, you know, you mentioned that I was one of the driving forces behind the Black Opportunity Fund. You know, the Black Opportunity Fund was created so that Black men and Black women could stand up and take ownership for our future. And one of the things we would love to do is to partner more extensively with organizations like Black Boys Code, so that instead of having to pick one worthy beneficiary like we're going to do today, and I'm inspired by the videos that I've seen so far of the scholarship applicants, but I hope that our partnership between Black Boys Code and Black Opportunity Fund going forward results in many, many more scholarships, so that many more Black boys can learn more about technology, be part of that fourth industrial revolution that Ray Williams was talking about, and so that more of us can see it and achieve it. More of us can become like Lawrence Etta, Chief Technology Officers for the City of Toronto. So in closing, I just want to say that I'm so proud of Brian and all of the volunteers at Black Boys Code. I'm honored to be a participant and to be a partner, both through Black Opportunity Fund and personally. And I look forward to the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years of Black Boys Code exposing our boys to technology and leading them into the future. So thank you again to all of you, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak at this event. Congratulations.
And now a message from a few more of our nominees.
I feel at home being taught by my own, who take care of me and encourage me to grow. They have motivated and inspired me as a young Black boy to believe the possibilities are endless.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrew Brown. I'm 11 years old. I have been attending Black Boys Code for the past 2 years.
And I am Abner. The workshops have helped me improve my coding skills and stand out among my classmates.
Being a part of Black Boys Code has helped me a lot in learning about computers and coding. One of the most interesting things I have done while at the workshops has been coding robots to move through mazes. Robots are interesting and cool to work with.
What was really fun about Black Boys Code was learning how to code. Like, they put all your resources there and then they just let you go do it on your own. I really like that.
The teachers made the lessons fun and easy to understand. It has made me want to learn more in this field and work in it in the future.
Black Boys Code has opened my eyes to a lot of career opportunity in the technology industry that I did not dream existed.
I'm sure it will help me in the future when trying to get a job in computer engineering, game design, or development.
I strongly believe Black Boys Coding will help me with my future career as a program developer.
Black Boys Code has taught me how to code websites using computer languages like JavaScript and Python.
I believe that this will help create future leaders in coding.
And I know now that in the future how this will help me because I have a step up. So for now, if I need to code a website for a class for high school, I already know how. So that will help me a lot.
It's important to me having teachers that look like me. It makes me feel confident. Thank you for teaching me new things, Black Boys Code.
Black Boys Code has changed the way I understand coding. I now understand that thinking outside the box and being creative is vital for coding. These workshops have exposed me to the world of coding that I never knew about. It also provides essential life skills, such as believing anything is achievable, God willing.
Love these videos. Thanks so much, Jonathan. So now to move on to our next speaker, who is Michael Paul. He is the Vice President of Information Technology at Speedy Transport Group. He began his career as an entrepreneur, opening up 3 companies. And the quick fact about him, he is the US-Canadian patent holder for proprietary encrypted communication protocol. So there's your fun fact this Sunday. Michael is an aspiring mentor, and we're so thrilled to have him here with us today. Michael, the floor is yours.
So what I love about Black Boys Code is actually pretty personal. I wish I had something like this when I was younger. I was always interested in technology, but none of my friends and none of my mentors were, so I had to learn a lot on my own. If I had something like this when I was younger, I could have gotten some guidance and gone in the right direction. I could have learned how to turn it into a career or just follow it as a hobby. But it would have been nice to have friends who were interested in the same thing and people who could help to guide me in the right direction if I wanted to make it a career. But one of the great things about software is that it actually has a very low barrier to entry. So what that means is you don't have to go to university for 10 years and get a PhD before you're allowed to be a programmer. You can learn on your own. There are plenty of free tools and plenty of videos and tutorials online that can guide you in the right direction. But a program like this is also very helpful because you can make new friends who are interested in the same thing and learn from each other while also learning from some mentors. The beauty of software is that it's one of the few things you can do where you can create something from scratch, from absolutely nothing. If you have an idea, you can put it out with basically just a computer and a dream and see what happens from there. There are very few things in life where you can actually do that. Usually you need some sort of formal training, you need some sort of certification, all of that. So it's actually very nice that you can, come up with something creative, and just like art or music or anything like that, you can create something from scratch. And beyond just programming itself, there are a lot of different areas where you can use software even if you decide not to follow a career in programming. It's very handy if you're doing, let's say, finance, if you're doing business intelligence, data processing, AI, even some areas outside of information technology itself. It's a very useful skill to have. It might come in handy one day when you need to do some little project that somebody asks for. You'd be surprised how many places it actually applies. So, with that being said, I think this project is pretty amazing, actually, and I'm glad to be a part of it, and I guess I'll see you soon. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much. Now it's time to bring back Black Boys Code founder Brian Johnson, who has a special announcement to make. Brian.
Thank you, Nadia. Well, today we will be, again, as I said, we'll be awarding $500 to one of the boys. Are we announcing the winner now by any chance?
Yes, but we can do
Okay. Okay, well, I guess I'm prepared. The winner is Bradley. You'll be awarding Bradley $500 towards his educational fund. There's a big crowd behind me here that's going on. Okay.
Thanks so much, Brian. Very exciting. Congratulations to you, Bradley. I'm sure you and your family are so thrilled. We are all thrilled for you, every one of us who is watching the broadcast today. So congratulations on being the very first scholarship recipient, Brian.
And hopefully many more, yes.
Hopefully many more indeed. All right. Now we have one more guest speaker before we head into our panel discussion led by Colin McLean. Lekan Olawoye has been a loud and effective advocate for Black voices in tech. He's the founder of BPTN, Black Professionals in Tech Network, and he and his team are successfully bridging the talent gap in the tech industry. He's also the founder and CEO of TalentX. He's a trusted advisor and a sought-after speaker, and it is my pleasure to introduce Lekan to you today.
Hey, everybody. How are you doing? My name is Lekan Olawoye, and I am the founder and CEO of BPTN, Black Professionals in Tech Network. I am so excited to speak to you today because I'm so pumped up about Black Boys Code, right? I remember a few years ago, maybe it was last year, I came to speak to the class at Ryerson, and I was so moved by the awesomeness of the team, of the mentors, of the coaches, of the teachers, and of course, of you, the students. It's incredible to think about how important it is that you are doing this. I'll tell you why. I'm from the hood. I grew up in Rexdale, Jamestown. Folks don't know where that is. That's the west part of Toronto, right? In a neighborhood, right, that more people look like me than not. But in that community, right, of Rexdale, we're strong, we're bold, right? But sometimes a lot of people don't tell us about opportunities in the future. What does the future look like? The future is tech, is technology. The future is you, right? And I want you to know that is really, really, really important that right now, in a society that is more global, that is more digital, meaning everyone is using computers, it is going to be really important that we have people like you, coders, people who know computers well, people who can work and make the computers do things that others can't do. But if we don't have that, if we don't have you, if we don't have Black boys coding, then we're going to have a bunch of code that is biased, that is racist, that is prejudiced, that does not actually make our lives better, but it makes life harder for Black people. We have some of that right now. So we need you. We need you to just lean in, to learn this stuff, to be the best at it, right? Not only is it good for us as Black people, but let me tell you something, it's good for your future. It's good for your family. It changes your life. It changes your trajectory. You make tons of money, but also you are able to change the future. And I ask you to please just lean into it. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's frustrating, but this stuff changes lives. It changes your family's life and it changes our community. So we want you to code. We want you to learn. We want you to grow. And I'm so excited to hear that, you know, you are now part of this new cohort. Congratulations. We're excited. We're really, really pumped to see you grow. And I can't wait for you to become a professional so you can be part of BPTN.
All right, now I'm going to hand it right back over to our founder and CEO, Brian Johnson, for one message before we...
One of the things I wanted to do or needed to do was to announce a consolation prize or a follow-up prize of an Arduino workbook. This is something that the other 5 boys who were featured, they'll be receiving this prize as a runner-up from the $500 educational fund. So congratulations to all of our participants.
And now for the highlight of our session, I'm going to pass it over to our program manager, Colin McLean, to introduce our panel discussion. So take it over, Colin.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jonathan. My name is Colin McLean, and I am the program manager of Black Boys Code. I'm also a parent who's brought his son to Black Boys Code. So we have a great list of panelists. Today we have Lawrence Ita, we have Isaac Olawafe. Isaac, please, did I pronounce your name correct? And Tiffany Chambers and Doretha English. So I don't think I can do justice because many of these people on the panelists, all of them have done phenomenal, amazing work, and they're really a true inspiration. So what I'm going to do in order to save time is going to have each of them state their name, their occupation, and what are they bringing to the table, this panel discussion. And just take about 30 seconds, and then we'll dive deep into the discussion. We'll start off first with Tiffany Chambers.
Thank you so much, Colin. Hello, everyone. My name is Tiffany Chambers, and I am the chapter leader, or one of the chapter leaders of our Atlanta chapter of Black Boys Code. I have been partnering with Gary, who's in the audience, for I think over 3 years now to get this chapter off the ground, and it's been really just an amazing journey. So just a quick bio. So I am currently a diversity and inclusion leader for the Home Depot and their headquarters here in Atlanta. I also have experience recruiting in the technology space for the company. And also, just to go a little bit back further into my history, in high school, one of the most profound experiences that really inspired me to be passionate about promoting STEM education among African Americans especially, is I attended a STEM boarding school. This was many, many, many years ago, but I won't tell how many, but I attended a STEM boarding school, and it was a phenomenal opportunity. Of course, it's here in the US, it's the Illinois Math and Science Academy. One of the challenges I faced was that even though I was in this amazing institution, I still felt barriers to accessing the technology curriculum and some of the things that some of my other classmates were able to do. So anyway, I'm here now to correct some of that for my son. And
That's
yours.
great. Thank you so much. We'll move on now to Tiffany Chambers.
That was just me.
Tiffany, you're on, Doretha. Tired. Doretha, can you please go?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Doretha English. I've been partnering with and supporting Black Boys Code since 2015, 16. Currently, I'm a senior customer service manager with a technology company here in Burnaby, BC. And my boys did not have this when they were growing up. And I now have a granddaughter, and I am pushing her to get into technology, into STEM. So this is why I'm here, and I'm here to support Brian in any way that he needs me to.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And Isaac, can you take the floor for like 45 seconds or so? I think you're on mute, Isaac. Okay, while we wait for Isaac to unmute himself, we'll move on to Lawrence. Lawrence, can you share with us briefly, you've spoken, but who you are, what you do?
Yes, certainly. And we've already had a bio for myself, Lawrence. That's a Chief Technology Officer. But a fun fact is that essentially I've lived in various countries, England, Canada, the US. I was born in Nigeria. I've been in the technology industry for a number of years, 20 plus years, and I'm really excited to be part of this and look forward to contributing on the panel. Thank you.
Beautiful. And last but not least, Isaac, can you share with us about you? 30 seconds around there. You are on mute, we can't hear you. Okay. Can you go? Sorry, we can't hear you. Okay, while we wait, we're going to break this discussion into two sections. The first section is going to be the present day challenges of our boys face in the STEM education. And the second part to this is the future of our Black boys in tech. We have a limited amount of time, and we're going to focus on maybe about a minute or so answering the questions. I'll first have Lawrence and Tiffany answer this question. What has your journey into the tech world been like from when you left school to the present time? So we want to look for what challenges you faced and how did you overcome them? That's for Lawrence and Tiffany. Who would like to answer this question first?
So I'll hand it to my colleague, Tiffany, to,
Okay.
There you are, Tiffany.
Thank you, Lawrence. Okay, so challenges as far as getting into the tech field, was that the question, Colin?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I draw back on that high school experience. One of the really unique things about the high school that I attended was that it was really an incubator for some, I mean, this was in the 90s, so like, I'm telling my age a little bit, but this is, it was really an incubator for some of those very relevant, even to this day, tech startups. We had founders that contributed to PayPal, YouTube, OkCupid, and a few others, very notable companies. But I remember during that time when I was in the institution, and listen, you had to test to get into this school. I mean, it was I'm not bragging, but honestly, it was the best and the brightest. And you don't make it if you don't have the chops, right? But even in that environment, I felt like I was not supposed to be in certain spaces. And that was because I did not see the representation there. There were also microaggressions that happened along the way. And like I said, sometimes they were unintentional microaggressions, but it might be a student saying like, oh, well, you don't need to go to the math lab, go to the PC lab because the Macs are, that's probably too complicated for you. And oh, okay. And I, kind of take their word for it and I get steered in a different direction instead of them saying like, hey, this is something that I can just show you really quickly and then you can figure it out from there, which of course I eventually learned how to do. So I think I love what Black Boys Code is doing as far as the representation. It is so important that our children see themselves in the leaders and that they know that they have access. Also, we have to give them the opportunity to test and fail. We want to teach them not what to think, but how to think. What is that scientific method approach that they're going to be using? And so that was one of my barriers. And I realized it kind of looking in retrospect. If I had had some of those things, I think I probably would have been actually more embedded into the tech instead of on the peripheral.
Gotcha. Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Lawrence, over to you now.
Yes, thank you, Tiffany. Very inspiring. I would say it's persistent. I think often from a journey standpoint, it's not just about working hard. It's about having grit and persistency. That's really what I would say in my journey through here. You have to be very consistent to the ability to what we call is that fail, but pick yourself up again. Because often there isn't a good representation and there's biases. I always had a vision that essentially I wanted to go from being a very strong technical person. So the first thing I would say to the young boys is that be very good, very, very good at what you do in terms of coding. But then you want to lean into the fact of the ability to build relationships, the ability to analyze problems and to offer value. I would say that a lot of my journey is because that I was able to create a difference and show that I could bring a set of skills that others could not bring and help those organizations to accelerate and deliver what they needed to do. So you have to have grit, you have a lot of persistence, and you've got to keep persevering forward. And you need to surround yourselves, and that's the great thing with what Brian and the team are doing. Surround yourselves with positive people who want to celebrate your color, celebrate your blackness, and tell you that in STEM, there is an opportunity for you to be successful.
That's great. Thanks so much. I remember my parents saying the exact same thing to me when I was growing up in school. So the next question, I want to turn over to Isaac and Doretha. Isaac, is your mic working now?
Hello, can you hear me?
Beautiful. Okay, great.
All right,
Can you just share your name and what
Yep.
you do and what you bring to the table before we answer
Yes.
the next question?
Yes, perfect. Real quick, again, my name is Isaac Orolafe. I'm President and CEO of Dreammaker, an asset management company. Been in the real estate space for about 15 years, but seeing the growth of technology and the need for it for the Black community, I jumped into the tech space about 5 years ago, launching Dreammaker Ventures, and then recently launching the Black Innovation Fellowship, the first Black tech incubator for Black entrepreneurs out of a university. It's great to be here again, and I really love the work that Black Boys Code is doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And while we have you, can you answer this question? Why do you feel it's important for our boys to pursue their studies in the areas of STEM, which include the science and the digital literacy? Why is that important to you?
Yeah, great question. I think it's super important not only for our Black boys, but also the community as a whole. The way the economy is changing, technology is becoming super important. We're seeing it now, even during this COVID period, is technology that's transitioning our lives right now. And for us, technology is the equalizer for the Black community because of the barrier of entry is much less. So I think it's super important. It creates critical thinking within the minds. And when you look at how tech cuts across all industries, if you have an interest in sports, there's sports tech. If you have an interest in real estate, there's prop tech. So it's super important that as our boys grows up, regardless of the career they want to get into, now technology is incorporated into services of each of those careers.
Yes, that's so true. Thank you for sharing. Over to Doretha. Same question. Why do you feel it's important for boys to pursue their studies in the areas of STEM?
Number one for me, I think, is representation. We need, like Brian was saying, the whole reason for Black Boys Code is so that we can see ourselves, right? Doing the jobs that we need to in STEM, as well to close the racial and ethnic gap. I think that is very important. And not only in STEM, but in general, right? STEM is a big area because it's the way of the future. And right now, there's a great opportunities for our young boys to be the representation, you know, in this area. It is extremely important.
Yeah, that's really good. And I believe that for every person who can control the technology of the present time, they can control the future. So I really encourage all the boys on this call and the parents to really push the boys into STEM. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, next we'll move on to Tiffany, actually, and Lawrence. Question number 3. People with high-level technical skills are valuable in a world transformed by technology. What needs to be done to adequately prepare our Black students to successfully participate in the STEM-based local or global economy? That's for Tiffany and Lawrence. Who would like to go first?
I'll let Lawrence go first this time.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany. I think that the ability it's very important to have very strong technical skills, and that's it's great about what Black Boy Code does. Because when you have this technical skills through education, the ability also to try, our young people have very curious minds, and it's a great time right now. You can go on YouTube, various other areas. There is no barrier in terms that stops somebody. You don't have to go through some high education in terms of an elite program. So I think continuously exposing. Also, math is very important. The ability to understand. And when I state this is that you don't need to be the expert, but you need to understand so that it allows you to have a very analytical brain. We have to demonstrate for young Black boys to have, how do you analyze? How do you think through a problem? And the earlier in age we start that, by the time you become an adult, it just becomes ingrained in your system and becomes natural in terms of there. So the global economy is controlled by a small set of people. The ability also to own, we have to be able to ensure that when we generate income, when we generate wealth, we ensure that that wealth can have generational transition. So when you get a good position, you invest, you build up assets, you use that analytical brain to build something. So often what we do is that we end up not building or owning something, or we end up not being in a position to be able to influence that change. So science, technology, math, engineering are extremely important, because with that gives you power and influence to be able to promote and to encourage others to come into the industry. And scientists will never end. Just a very quick thing. I chose to do a Bachelor of Science when I went to university in England. The reason I felt that a Bachelor of Science would give me a lot more control of my destiny, because it was what we call vocational training, which I could actually build something or do something in technology and management, which is the bachelor and the undergraduate that I graduated with. So hand it to you, Tiffany.
Excellent, Lawrence. I want to echo all of the thoughts that you shared. The mathematical literacy is key. I also want to stress the importance of just leadership development skills as well. So what we see, and like I said, I'm in the diversity and inclusion space, and so I worked very, very hard to make sure I was getting diverse representation in our intern program and then in our entry-level hires. But then as you see things go on, that representation starts to trickle off again. And that's because when it comes to those upper levels of leadership, then we hit another ceiling. And so what I want is for our boys that are entering and that are interested in following these career paths, they kind of have that end goal in mind to start with. They know that, hey, I'm not just going into this field to be a programmer, or I'm going in this field to be a creator and a leader. And they continue to develop on those skills throughout their career so that they can start to steer the ship, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. I think you nailed it. Exactly. I can so agree. So we're going to move on to the next question, number 4. This is for Tiffany and Doretha. Now, given that the changes usually takes considerable length and time, what do you feel parents and caregivers could do to steer their boys into the right direction? I'll hand this over first to Doretha to give you, Tiffany, a bit of a break.
I think once the parents understand the importance of STEM is to find a program similar to Black Boys Code and enroll the boys and be consistent. Make sure they're there, make sure they show up, and also show an interest. Because I find that, if you're there and you're helping them along and you're showing them and you're asking them about it and showing an interest, they will take the interest and say, okay, this is really important. And, just being consistent, and knowing the importance, because not only, we're thinking about, we're going to retire one day, right? All the people that's doing these jobs right now are going to retire. We're going to be the elders, right? And we're going to need our boys to be there to take care of us,
True.
Not only physically, but, through technology and everything. So the parents play the most important role, because they're guiding these boys. They're telling them, they need to tell them how important it is, to explain to them the importance, and be consistent, because as parents, I know we're doing so many things, and it's nice to sign them up for a class and put them in front, but show interest in it as well, support.
It's true. I find being a parent that my children learn through watching me and my wife how we interacted. So we brought them to my son to Black Boys Code. We were present. We were there for him, and it's not like you're doing time in prison, dragging the kid there. Like, you show that yes, this is for you, and when the parent shows interest, it ripples off onto the child. So I fully agree with that. So Tiffany, what's your take on the time? What can parents do? What's your take on this?
Absolutely. I want to piggyback off of what Doretha said. The support is key. So what does support look like? Support looks like giving your children permission. Sometimes we don't allow them to play around with the devices, to break and fix things. We don't allow them to experiment in that way. And that's very critical for them. Also, the celebration. We need to acknowledge and celebrate those things. When they show an interest, encourage it by also showing an interest in it and asking questions about it. I think that something else. So I'm a mom. I have 2 Black boys of my own, and so I have to be mindful, because I want to kind of steer them in a path where I know I'm like, hey, this is a proven path. I know that if you do this path, it's gonna work, right?
Yeah.
But I cannot neglect their own interest. I have to, because the thing is that my children, they have a vision, and they see a world that I'm not even able to see yet. I've got an old school view of where the world is heading. But they are, I want to put them in the position where they are able to solve for problems that have not even been created yet, or they're able to solve for things that we have not even discovered yet. And so again, I have to support them in that way by acknowledging their current interest and giving them permission to test and learn.
Beautiful. This is great, Tiffany.
And if I can add, I also think that it's important to allow your kids to argue with you. Because that's when they, if you ask the right questions when they're arguing, you start to get them to think, be, problem solvers, solve the issue, so I encourage, positive arguments, I guess I want to say.
Respectful though, right?
Yes, exactly.
Take my boys are listening.
Okay, that's great. That's great. And actually, one thing I can just add, for all the parents out there who want to find out more about Black Boys Code, please go to our website, blackboyscode.ca, as well sign up for a newsletter, because that's when you're actually contributing and helping and knowing where to send your boys when workshops are coming up. So this transitions, a great segue for us to move on to our part and final B section. And that's the future of our boys in tech. Now, the pandemic has shifted much of our stuff to online. We have to now start thinking of creative ways of how to, create jobs and the future of tech. So my next question number 5, is for Lawrence and Doretha. Now, what are some new or highly anticipated tech jobs that our boys could start preparing for? Who would like to go answer this question?
I'll certainly start. I'll break it down very quickly in terms of sectors. AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning. So data scientists are big roles. Those roles weren't there years ago. It's really important. Analyzing data is critical. Business intelligence, cloud security. So cybersecurity is a really hot field right now. It's still technology, so the ability there, web developers, software developers are very important. Also, as well as that, there's Internet of Things, industrial Internet of Things, IoT devices. So the ability to use software and code on that is extremely important. I will add another component. While we're focused on STEM, there is actually a transition to STEAM. It's important also to have the arts ability where you need to articulate and to be able to work in a team, the teamwork. I'll tell you this, if you want to go fast in terms of there, you go with a team. If you want to go slow, you go as an individual, you go on your own. So when our Black boys are coding, I think part of the great thing with Black boys is Brian spoke about the hackathon. It's trying to work in a team to build a united solution to solve. So, but from a technical standpoint, cloud architects, data scientists, software, web application developers, the cloud is huge. Cybersecurity is huge. Those areas are really very hard skills to find. So I'll hand it over in terms of some examples.
Beautiful, great. And Doretha.
Well, I think Lawrence pretty much covers the list, but I just want to say, we have aging buildings and bridges and roads. So we have to consider those areas as well. As the population ages, science, doctors, we're going to need our boys to represent us in those areas as well, because as we get older, the population is aging and we need people to replace those. So Lawrence covered the new and upcoming position, but we need to keep in mind the existing, because we have a lot of aging bridges, especially here living in Vancouver. You can't go from city to city without crossing a bridge. So, and some of them are really old. So those are the areas that we have to keep in mind as well.
Great.
And can I just add one quick point in terms of there? We also need to have, and I think that Tiffany also mentioned it, we need to ensure that our aspirations are not just being with the people doing, but the people leading. I really want to see more Black people in terms of leadership positions. So this generation, in 10, 15 years, when I retire, I want you to be the next chief technology officer. And I want you to be the next mayor of Toronto. I want you to be the next chiefs so that you are also leading, so you can help those communities in, as what was said earlier. So we need to also demonstrate leadership positions. There's not enough of us in the pipeline to be able to get to directors, supervisors, managers, to lead, so that we're not just the worker bees, but we're actually the ones setting the strategy of how to get those aging buildings transition to more modernized technology.
Absolutely.
Good. This is great. This is great. I actually want to chime in. I haven't heard from Isaac. What's your take on this? What are some other highly anticipated tech jobs? Isaac, can you share?
Yeah, no, I think, again, prop tech, I'm going back to the aging buildings. There's going to be a lot of technology incorporated within infrastructure, within housing. You're seeing that even with the smart homes technology right now. So we see drastic changes around the real estate side incorporating technology. And again, going back to what Lauren said, I think, for us, what we've been really pushing is not only just being the developers, the data scientists, the engineers, but also owning the companies as well too, being the employers, starting up the actual tech company, and being able to actually employ your friends, your family, your cousins within that business, just like how other communities have done within the tech space, and then reinvesting, as you mentioned, once you start generating that income, coming together and investing together to start a tech company or to support a friend that has a tech company. So I think that aspect is very important as well too, as our boys are getting older.
Okay, that's good. That's great. And the very last question, I'm going to put it back to Lawrence and Isaac, is to give our young viewers a sense of inspiration, what to aspire to in the future. What are some of the salaries that people in tech are currently earning, and what can they potentially earn in maybe the next like 5 to like 10 years? So Lawrence, do you want to go?
Maybe I'll hand to Isaac to give him a piece, and I'll come at the end. Isaac,
Okay.
just want to give you an opportunity to.
Thanks, no problem. Yeah, so living in Toronto or the GTA as well, Canada, I think as parents you should be excited pushing your boys into this space. Toronto ranked the #1 city for the most tech jobs the last 2 years, beating out Silicon Valley, and those tech jobs are all high six figure jobs. So we're talking about $150,000 jobs to $250,000 jobs, depending on the position that you have, whether it be data engineers, DevOps engineers, mobile application developers. So definitely the range is definitely between, obviously the junior staff, maybe 75,000 to 125, but really you're in the upwards of 150 and above.
Wow, that's
and there's
beautiful.
a lot of demand, and there's a lot of demand for it as well.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, Isaac is absolutely right. A low entry is 70,000, and the sky is the limit. Exactly there. I will also make a plug for those parents. There is a technology salaries information you can download. It's under Robert Half, ROBERT, Half, HALF. They're a recruiter. They're a global recruiter. They publish every year technology strategies for what chief information officers, chief technology officers, chief security officers, web developers. It shows you the 25th percentile all the way to 95th percentile. So parents, go there. It's free. You just Google Robert Half 2021 salary, download it. It's a good way to inspire your young children in terms of what are they trying to get to, and there's salaries in every tech industry there. So that's one area that I would really encourage that the parents should go and look at as well.
That's great. Beautiful. So the future's definitely looking brighter. Now, my call it to the parents, call to action. Are you now inspired to bring your boys continually to our Black Boys Code workshops? You don't need to answer now, but just start thinking about that, because if you can start having our boys generating this kind of income, we can definitely change the narrative. And that's why we're here to really assist Black boys to really achieve. So this ends our panel discussion. Thank you all for your time. It's been amazing discussion. I would love it to go further, but let's turn it back over to our host and our CEO. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Colin. Just before we go, Jonathan, I think there was someone who was raising their hand. Did somebody have a question in the chat room? Did one of our audience members have a question? No?
Natalia,
Yes.
if you'd like.
I've been bringing my boys, well, they went to 2 sessions where you gathered at the Starlight at
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had my 2 boys come there. I don't know if you remember me, but obviously you don't have my face, but don't put me on the spot right now for the camera, because I'm not decent.
But you're present.
So yeah. I think what you guys are doing is very, very well needed. We need to reach out to the Black boys of the community and within the Black community, so that they have a chance to know, like, not only it's not in regards to producing money, but it's as well as having the engagement into something that could possibly be their future for those that follow through with it. Because with the tech industry, there's a lot, like you said, that expands to different paths. You have the sports tech, you have the healthcare tech, you have the different techs. And I think that's needed, because each and every child is an individual that's different. And it all specializes within the tech industry and towards the path in which they choose to want to go down. So knowing that they have the background in tech, they can always say, okay, well, I know I can put it towards Roblox. That's something I like to know on how to establish, how to make my own websites, like at one of the gatherings or one of the classes that you had. So I think it's really good that you guys are doing this. Thank you very much, Brian. You already know, I've already talked to you. I was one of the parents that talked to you that day, and I was very adamant on wanting to get your information so I can further down the line, hopefully get my kids into any extra special classes that you may have and whatnot. I don't know if you remember me, but I just wanted also to let you guys know that I sent a request on LinkedIn to every one of you guys. So I hope you guys can go ahead and accept me, if anything.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Natalia. And thank you so much for, just sharing your thoughts and your comments. I'm sure you're not the only parent in the room or in the audience today who feels this way, that this program has just been so beneficial to your boys. So thank you so much. Thanks so much for speaking up. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Now, I think we have one more person who had their hand raised in the chat room, but we are actually out of time. Actually, okay. Well, we'll make one exception, but only because it's Bradley, who was the winner of the scholarship. So Bradley, really quickly, did you have something that you wanted to say today before we wrapped up?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much, and I really enjoyed the Black Boys Code courses, and I really like coding, and I would like one of those jobs in the future, hopefully.
Bradley, I have no doubt you will get one of those jobs in the future. Brian, did you have something that you wanted to say to Bradley?
Oh, congratulations. I think you're in Montreal. I hope to meet you sometime when all this is over, because we would love to go back to our in-class workshops, because they're, in the virtual world that works, but the in-class workshops gives us so much more. You're able to interact with the mentors, you interact with other Black men who are technologists. So hopefully sometime in the near future, we'll be back in class. I'll be able to meet you. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Hopefully.
Congratulations, Bradley.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bradley. All right, take care. Thank you so much to everyone who stuck with us right to the end. Thank you to all of our panelists, all of our guest speakers who have spoken today. Thank you so much, Brian. I feel like you have something to say just before.
Oh, I always have something to say, yes. No, what I wanted to say was I've left the best for last. So far, we've talked about the journey of Black Boys Code. We've talked about myself, how I got into Black Boys Code. But what Black Boys Code is not Brian Johnson. It is 120 volunteers, dedicated men and women who dedicate their time, their expertise, their passion to make this happen. Without volunteers, we would not be here today. So a special shout out to all the volunteers. I wanted to go through all, I think we may be out of time, but I wanted to go through all the names of the chapter leaders across the country, but I don't think I have enough time, but thank you very much. Also, thanks to all of the panelists and everyone who participated. I hope the audience enjoyed hearing about the organization, and hopefully in the next 5 years, we'll see you again, or maybe who knows, we'll see you again next year.
All right, thank you so much, Brian. Colin already said this, but we just want to remind you to head over to the Black Boys Code website. That's blackboyscode.ca. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you can sign up for the newsletter there. And that's how you can stay in touch with this organization as it continues to grow. And as Brian said, there will be another celebration. There will be more celebrations in the years to come. Here's hoping that future celebrations are also in person, so we can really get to, fans and celebrate this organization and the good work that it's doing across North America. Yes, keep your masks handy. Wear your masks. And wash your hands. Take care, everybody. Have a very, very, very beautiful Sunday. Take care. And we definitely hope to hear from you as you continue to stay in touch with this organization. Don't hesitate to reach out. Have a happy Sunday. Bye.
Bye.